Hi, my name is Laura Fribley. For my final invertebrate project, I picked Niphotates digitalis, or the pink vase sponge. The pink vase sponge is in the Porifera phylum. Some characteristics of this phylum is that the organisms are multicellular, but they have no tissues. They also have pores, and they're asymmetrical. Uh, the, the Porifera phylum is called the pore bearers because they have many pores. This is the taxonomic list for the pink vase sponge. It is in the kingdom Animalia, the phylum Porifera, and the species Niphotates digitalis, or pink vase sponge. The size of a pink vase sponge is that it can grow up to 50 centimeters in height and width, but it is more commonly found smaller. Some body characteristics of the pink vase sponge is that it is a teacup or vase shape. It is coarsely porous and has spines that are 6 millimeters in height. It has no nervous system, brain, or limbs. It also does not have tissues, organs, or systems. The color varies from a pale purple to pink to light blue to gray-green or gray. The habitat of the pink vase sponge is located in the western central Atlantic. It lives in areas such as the Florida Keys, the Bahamas, the Caribbean, or the Netherlands Antilles. How does the pink vase sponge move? Well, sponges move around when they're larvae, but using the flagella. Other than that, they don't move unless they are broken off. One unique behavior about the pink vase sponge is that it engulfs its food by using pores and filter feeding. Our next topic is feeding strategies. Well, the pink vase sponge does something called filter feeding, where it passes water through their body and through their pores. As it passes through these channels and chambers, it takes particles and bacteria as food. This is a picture of a life cycle or reproductive cycle of a sponge. As you can see, the adult sponge will release sperm cells, which will then enter another sponge and fertilize an egg, which will then cause a larva to develop. This larva will be carried away by water currents, and the larva will then end up settling on a hard surface as it develops into an adult sponge. Some defensive strategies that the sponges use is they have certain chemicals in their bodies to warn off predators, and they have spines along their bodies that make them unappealing to those predators. Humans use sponges for a variety of purposes. They use them to harvest, and with that, the sponges can be sliced or damaged by weighted nets or fishing lines. One fun fact about sponges is that early fossil records show that sponges inhabited the earth around 600 million years ago. this is my video that I chose. It is about sponges pumping and how the water pumps through their body.
Sponges are very effective filter feeders since they're able to capture and eat particles as small as bacteria as well as larger particles. They might not look like they're doing much, but a simple demonstration shows how effectively sponges can pump water. On a reef in the Caribbean, I make a dive with a syringe filled with a non-toxic dye called fluorescein. By squirting it around the base of some sponges, we can observe how the water is moving by watching what the dye does. Within only seconds, the dye is pumped through the sponges along with the water. As you can see, a sponge is a pretty good water pump and also a good strainer. Any plankton that goes in with the water won't come back out through the osculum. Tube sponges are even more spectacular to observe. They pump the dye so furiously that they look like a collection of miniature smokestacks. The ultimate test is a hefty barrel sponge. What will a big monster like this do? It takes a few seconds for the dye to work its way through the sponge. Wait for it. But then it pours out like smoke from a chimney. That's pretty good pumping from those tiny little collar cells.
And this concludes my presentation. Thank you for watching, and bye.